You know how, John, you guys are talking about like deep role-playing games and this huge fantasy worlds and everything's great and you have a deep understanding and your characters have backgrounds. F that. You don't need all that to play. Hey, everybody. It's Carlos, Immortals Inc. Podcast. And as always, I have Mikey here on the mic.
I'm here. We're here.
Dressed up in a lot of winter gear over there.
I know, and I said it was hot in here, but you're wearing a cardigan.
I know, because I'm cool. Today we're going to talk about something that I enjoy. It's not so much we're going to go back to throwback to the old, the Lost City, first edition modules, but the point is...
It's near and dear to your heart.
Well, it is. This is my favorite adventure to run. If I could run it again, I would, but we'll wait time.
When did you run this originally? Like, when is your first time running this ever?
80s.
Is it like with that photo on the back of you as a child with the
yeah, it is,
D&D?
actually.
I was like, he was a child?
This original one was I know, was released in 1982. It's how they try to make 80s adventures now. Well, this is an 80s adventure. There's nothing more you could do with it. But we were talking about that earlier, making fun of John. I'm not making fun of John. Believe you me, he's very good at what he does.
Shout out, John.
And but he's talking about, like, they have adventures now where everybody's into it, like Critical Role and everything like that. And you have the huge adventure, and you have the background, and you have the actor, and you have the voices, and not everybody can do that. There is no way everybody can do that. I can't do that. You probably can't do that, and sometimes that intimidates people.
It's a high-budget game session.
Or the fact that you don't need all that huge background. You don't need to walk into the full world of, like, Lord of the Rings. Like, there's this huge background to it, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Sometimes, especially if you're just a starter, you want to start with a simple adventure. This module, called The Lost City, was originally for, like, basically the first edition D&D. It came with one of the more basic sets. It's levels 1 through 3. This was redone and remastered by Goodman Games. They do all those old modules. This, and it's a book, and these usually have... They don't usually. They always do. They have the old adventure. They have a reprint of it, updated to 5th edition, and then they have a bunch of additional material here. They can take it farther. But what I like about this adventure, the Lost City, is it's so simple. You just make a couple characters first level, your caravan guards, and you're lost in the desert. That's where you start. That's it. You don't care about who's in alliance with who or what the shaman on some mountaintop says. You're lost in the desert, and you're gonna die. All right.
Like, you're going to die?
You're going to die. These are your friends. You could have just met them 2 days ago, but all of a sudden they're your best friends. Hey, are we going to survive together or are we going to eat each other? It doesn't matter. You're just there. But then the adventure brings you right to your starting point. You find the tip of a pyramid sticking out of the desert, and you have nowhere to go. So you can either go in, you can either stay out and die, or you can go in.
How do you get in?
There's a dead hobgoblin, dried up dead hobgoblin wedged in the doorway. It's so simple.
Dude.
There's nothing else.
It's so ironic.
Yeah, that's your adventure.
Don't need a key. Okay.
No, nothing. There's nothing to this background. It's simple start. And then there he is. He's dead, and who cares? I'm going to go inside, because if not, if you stay outside, you're just going to die. There
might be water in there somewhere.
Yeah, there might be something, at least you could eat the dead hobgoblin.
Can you start this campaign as a brand new player? Like, was this a campaign that you could start as not knowing what D&D was, just jump in it?
Start with a new character, and that's it. And you're lost in the desert. You find your one salvation is a top of a pyramid statue, and you can step over the dead guy and get inside. This is like the original classic dungeon delve, where you just go in and you just start exploring the hallways. And then it's not that deep. It can be deep, but it's not that deep, because it's just like the top of the pyramid and you're just going through it. It's actually, for not being deep, it's got a lot of cool stuff. It's got monsters, it's got armies, it's got alliances, it's got some religious problems. There's for lack of a better word, drugs. Okay. There's a drug problem. There's a sex cult, but it's all done.
Sex cult inside of a pyramid.
Yeah. So it's all done, though, not in a vulgar, disgusting way, because I shouldn't even use the word sex cult, because that's not what it is. It's a party cult is what
Call
it
it what you will.
It alludes to that, but you can make it anything else. You could just make it drugs. But I don't want to really give anything away, because if you've never read it, it's worth picking up and just reading this, because it's just a good, simple adventure. If you have a bunch of new people that want to go through, you can go through.
Do you have the original copy?
Yeah,
this is it right here from the 80s.
From the 80s. This is my out of the personal collection. I have a bunch at home, but yeah, this is one of the better copies I found, which will not come out of the plastic. So
that's pretty epic,
because It's cool.
And I mean, it looked pretty simple.
I mean, the artwork's simple and everything like that.
Because of how thin it is, it seemed pretty simple.
That's it. That's a simple adventure. And you can go through this, and I took all my friends through it. Like some friends from work and some of the ones that were playing. They loved it because what happened is they build their own story because it's really just a clean slate. It's just a simple, hey, we're going in. Here's a basic framework of it. And you go in. You can have little missions like save somebody, or you come in. And it's not like crazy old adventures where you walk into a little room and there's a dragon. Like, how did he get here? No, it's not like that. There's traps. There's simple things. It introduces you to all the aspects of playing Dungeons and Dragons without having to have a huge background or a story or storyline. Because sometimes you just want to play a game. You don't have to think.
It's
and I'm not, and this is what I meant by like John. When John talks about his story, he's got a full background, a rich storytelling and everything. That's not me. I'm more of the dungeon hack and slash. Let's go see what's going in here with a little bit of story to add the drive. Nobody wants to just wander aimlessly through a building. It's like you just
still deep. Like it still has depth to it, because once you get to that tip of that iceberg, or if you will pyramid, you go in and then you find out all this stuff.
And it's funny because there's a pyramid. There's a top half of the pyramid and then a bottom half of the pyramid. And the bottom half of the pyramid is, they give you like a rough outline of what could be down there, and you could build it. But by the time, like I said, these are all like adults, that grown people that half of them didn't ever play D&D. They had built a whole storyline, built alliances, did it themselves, me just guiding them along the way. By the time they got to the lower tier, I was able to come up with a whole story and a background, and they put monsters in there, and then actually there's a creature at the end of this, which is kind of a cool creature that drove the whole campaign. I was able to create a whole campaign based around this dumb this dumb monster at the bottom and turn him into a demigod. So and I'm not a writer, man. I'm not very good at coming up with things or storyboards or lines, and I came up with it, and then everybody else came and they had fun and they created it themselves.
It worked itself. The campaign worked itself.
Yeah, it did. So if you want something simple, this is what I'm saying. This is a good starting point.
Why did you want to what made you, out of all these campaigns, choose this one? Just because of how simple it was and how easy it was?
I remember when I was a kid.
Sentimental.
Quite honestly, yeah. I remember this when I was a kid. Like even like the Tomb of Horrors, not Tomb of Horrors. That's a different story. But like all the original D&D adventure modules, that's the ones I played, and some of them were deeper, some were like outside. I've never been a big fan of outside adventure because it's like, all right, you're wandering around, But some people like it. There was a seas adventure. There was I can't remember the other one. A city adventure. But this one, I like the desert. You ever been to the desert?
No.
Scary at night. So I like the desert. I like the background. I like the fact that you were in a pyramid, and I like that you could build from it. I remember when I played it for the first time, I'm like, oh, I had a lot of fun. Then once I read the adventure after I played it, I'm like, oh, there's a lot more to this. And then I've run it a couple times, and it's just really good. It's really simple. So
did you guys die at the end though?
No. Some of us did.
That's
not like in my adventure. Like, yeah, we were always dying
because I mean, you're starving in a desert, dehydrated. Find a pyramid, and then what if you just don't find any water at all?
Oh, if you don't go in the pyramid, you're just dead. Game over.
Game over.
That's how simple it is. Like, the door. If you're worried that your adventurers or your players won't do what you want them to do, not like you shouldn't tell them what to do, but at least drive them in a direction. Is a perfect starting point because they're like, it's simple.
You're dead.
Yeah, they don't have to think. Either go in or you die. When you go in, you just start having you're looking for water, you're looking for food, you're looking for weapons because you really don't have anything. You're first level and you got nothing. This isn't like the TV shows where you just have overpowered things or all this crazy stuff. No, man,
it's not cliche simple. At all.
No, and then there's a lot of role playing because also you have to interact with the other people. But the role playing, even with the as a DM, the role playing of the characters or the creatures or the clans or the religious organizations, they're simple. They're so simple that you don't have to think about it. And there's no like deep motivation. It is just what it is, and you can build from it. And there's a lot of source material like for this, the creatures in here and the background. Pick this up. That's all you really need.
I mean, that's probably about 30 times thicker than the original copy.
Yeah. So this is like $50. If you want the original
How much is that original copy right there, you think?
Oh, I don't know. We'd have to look. We'll have to look it up. You can put it
I'm
up
going to put the number
thing,
right here.
What the average price for this thing is. All right. So it's probably lower than you think, but higher than you think.
Still.
I probably have a couple. You can find probably a play copy for nothing.
It's a light flex though.
And I'm pretty sure you can buy like a copy of this on RPG, Drive-Thru RPG. But you can always have the book. I like the books. But this is $49.99. This is no longer available commercially, but
It's from the 80s.
it's from the 80s.
The mystical 80s.
That's what I was laughing. I'm like, this is a great 80s adventure. I'm like, wait a minute. It was 80s when they wrote
Yeah.
it. So that's why it is the point of it
The
is.
epitome of the 80s.
Yeah, it is. It is what you want to play from the 80s. If you like this, subscribe.
Right there. He's pointing to it, I think.
If you like this, subscribe. Support us on Patreon or
Twitter. We're blue checked on Twitter now.
Blue checked on Twitter. You like that?
That was pretty epic.
Cha-ching. Yeah, we need some Twitter followers. Getter, Rumble, anything like that.
MeWe. I don't even know what MeWe is yet.
Yeah. We have a bunch of other stuff, and we keep adding to it for more and more. But right now, YouTube, subscribe. We're close to halfway to our goal.
Yeah, halfway to our goal. Thank you guys for the support. It's unreal.
Yeah. So the more the more we get, the better we can do. The more stuff we can promote, and
We could make our own pyramid.
yeah. And if you really, really like us and you want to see some behind the scene content or just talk to it's mostly me, but everybody else in the store, it's on Patreon. It's $1 a month.
Sometimes he'll yell at me to go on there and say what's up.
Yeah. Mostly it's a lot of pictures of what these guys are doing that I don't approve of.
And your name's at the end of every video.
Oh,
every
yeah.
video.
I'm going to start next week. Somebody did something extra on Patreon. So I got to use their name. And I am so sorry. I forgot it. But I have a lot going on.
Classic.
And sometimes we try to get these podcasts in real quick. So, but
As we did.
we're getting them. We're getting better. Until next time.
Bye-bye.